Namaskar. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. BRICS leaders push for empowering the global south, reforms and responsible AI. Prime Minister Modi urges for lead by example approach. And he also says that for India, climate justice is not an option, it's a moral duty. Prime Minister Modi holds bilateral meetings with the leaders of Bolivia and Uruguay. The discussion is held on improving and diversifying trade linkages and boosting ties. And both Netanyahu and President Trump express optimism that a ceasefire in Gaza will be reached as Netanyahu is set to visit the White House today. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the session on environment, COP30 and global health at the BRICS summit in Rio de Janeiro. In his intervention, Prime Minister stressed on strengthening shared efforts to make the planet healthier. The Prime Minister noted that for India, climate change and environment protection have always been subjects of the topmost priority. This has also been a part of our ancient cultures, what the PM said. And for India, climate change is not merely an issue of energy. It is about maintaining balance between life and nature. He said that India is driven by the spirit of people, planet and progress. And that India has launched numerous initiatives like Mission Life, for example, lifestyle for the environment. There was Ek Ped Maa Ke Naam, Tree for Mother. And then there is the International Solar Alliance of all countries that are in the tropics. And Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure. The Green Hydrogen Mission. The Global Biofuels Alliance. There's the International Big Cats Alliance. So despite being the world's fastest growing major economy, India was the first country, in fact, to achieve its Paris commitments ahead of schedule. And for India, climate justice is not an option, as the Prime Minister said, it's a moral duty. India believes that without technology transfer and affordable financing for countries in need, in fact, climate action will remain confined merely to climate talks. Because the health of the planet, the health of the people and the health of the planet are interconnected. And COVID-19, the pandemic, taught us that viruses are not, they don't arrive with visas, nor are solutions chosen based on passports. Hence, we have to strengthen shared efforts to make our planet healthier. Prime Minister Narendra Modi met with the President of Uruguay, Yamandu Orsi. This happened on the sidelines of the BRICS summit in Rio de Janeiro. And the two leaders held discussions covering the full spectrum of bilateral relations. A key area of discussion was strengthening bilateral trade and investment. Both sides expressed interest in the expansion of the India-Mercosur Preferential Trade Agreement, aiming at unlocking greater economic potential and trade complementarities. Prime Minister expressed gratitude to President Orsi for the strong condemnation of the recent barbaric terrorist attack in Pahalgam, and he appreciated Uruguay's solidarity with India in the fight against terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also held a meeting with the President of Bolivia, Luis Alberto Arce, in Rio de Janeiro. This is on the sidelines of the 17th BRICS summit. The two leaders reviewed bilateral cooperation and expressed satisfaction with the progress achieved. They expressed satisfaction over the ongoing development cooperation between the two countries, including through quick impact projects and capacity building initiatives under the iTech scholarship programs. Prime Minister Modi expressed solidarity with the people of Bolivia in the wake of the severe flooding that occurred in March-April 2025 in La Paz and several other parts of the country. He also congratulated Bolivia on joining the International Solar Alliance. Prime Minister conveyed his best wishes on the historic occasion of Bolivia's 200 years of independence. Earlier, Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the inaugural session of the reform of global governance and peace and security, as well as the session on strengthening bilateral economic, financial affairs and artificial intelligence. These took place at the 17th BRICS Summit in Rio de Janeiro. Prime Minister Modi said that the Global South has many expectations from the summit, and to fulfill them, we must follow the principle of lead by example. He also underlined that terrorism was a grave threat facing humanity. The Prime Minister also called for working towards responsible AI.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the inaugural session on reform of global governance and peace and security, as well as session on strengthening multilateral economic financial affairs and artificial intelligence at the 17th BRICS Summit in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. In his address at the inaugural session on reform of global governance in peace and security, Prime Minister Modi reaffirmed India's commitment to enhancing the voice of the Global South. PM Modi stated that global governance institutions such as UN Security Council, the International Monetary Fund, World Bank, and the World Trade Organization must undergo urgent reform to reflect contemporary realities. Calling for strong global action against terrorism, Prime Minister Modi noted that those funding, promoting, or providing safe havens to terrorists must be dealt with in the harshest terms.
Honorable Prime Minister underlined that terrorism was a grave threat facing humanity. In this context, he noted that all the leaders have condemned Pahalgam terrorist attack in strongest terms.
While in his address at the session on strengthening multilateral economic financial affairs and artificial intelligence, Prime Minister Modi said that BRICS could play an important role in shaping a multipolar world. Prime Minister Modi offered 4 suggestions. First, BRICS New Development Bank must follow demand-driven principle and long-term sustainability for granting projects. 2. The group considers setting up a science and research repository which could benefit the Global South countries. 3. Focus must be given to make the supply chain of critical minerals secured and resilient. And number 4, group should work on responsible AI while looking into the concerns of AI governance. It should also give equal importance to promoting innovation in the field. At the conclusion of the leaders' session, member countries adopted the Rio de Janeiro Declaration. The leaders in the declaration noted that we reiterate our support for a comprehensive reform of the United Nations, including its Security Council, with a view to making it more democratic, representative, effective, and efficient. We condemn in the strongest terms the terrorist attack in Jammu and Kashmir on 22nd April 2025, during which 26 people were killed and many more injured. We reaffirm our commitment to combating terrorism in all its forms and manifestations, including the cross border movement of terrorists, terrorism financing, and safe havens. We extend full support to India for its BRICS chairship in 2026 and holding the 18th BRICS Summit in India. On the sidelines of the 17th BRICS Summit in Rio de Janeiro, Prime Minister Modi also held bilateral meetings with various world leaders. PM Modi met the Prime Minister of Malaysia, Anwar bin Ibrahim. PM Modi thanked Prime Minister Ibrahim for his strong condemnation of the Pahalgam terror attack. Prime Minister Narendra Modi also met Cuba's President, Miguel Diaz-Canel Bermudez. The two leaders reviewed bilateral ties in the areas of economic cooperation, development partnership, fintech, capacity building, science and technology, disaster management, and healthcare. Besides this, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also met his Vietnamese counterpart Pham Minh Chinh on the sidelines of BRICS Summit in Brazil. Bureau Report, DD India.
The US President Donald Trump has announced 25% tariffs on imports from Japan and South Korea effective from August 1 in letters shared on his Truth Social platform. He warned any retaliatory tariff increases would be met with equivalent hikes. Currently under a 10% levy, both nations risk higher rates amid stalled negotiations. Trump extended the original July 9 tariff deadline to allow more time for talks. Around a dozen other countries are expected to receive similar warnings. These measures are part of a broader tariff campaign with deals only reached so far with the UK and Vietnam. Financial markets reacted negatively with the US-listed Japanese automaker stocks falling. The President Trump administration has revoked the foreign terrorist organization designation for the Al-Nusra Front. It's also known as Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, according to a State Department memo filed on Monday. This is a major step as Washington moves to ease sanctions on Syria. The move comes a week after Donald Trump had signed an executive order terminating a U.S. sanctions program on Syria to help end the country's isolation from the international financial system and building on Washington's pledge to help it rebuild after a devastating civil war. After 21 months of conflict, there is growing hope for a new ceasefire in Gaza as U.S. President Donald Trump and the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu are set to meet at the White House on Monday. This is the Israeli Prime Minister's third visit since Trump returned to power in January. A U.S.-backed ceasefire proposal. Well, we are going to go across now and get some visuals of the Prime Minister leaving Rio de Janeiro. He is emplaning for Brasilia, the capital of Brazil. The Prime Minister will be attending a ceremony there for bilateral talks with President Lula da Silva. He will hold bilateral discussions with President Lula da Silva on broadening of the strategic partnership between the two countries in areas of mutual interest, also including trade, defense, energy, space, technology, agriculture, health, and people-to-people linkages. This is an important part of his visit to Brazil. After the conclusion of the BRICS summit, Prime Minister heads for the bilateral meeting to Brasilia. Let's see there the Indian ambassador, Mr. Dinesh Bhatia also. After a successful visit to Rio de Janeiro for the BRICS summit, the Prime Minister now goes to Brasilia, where he will meet President Lula in a one-on-one and then bilateral and delegation level talks in the bilateral part of his visit to Brazil. He's finished the multilateral the multilateral meetings of the BRICS. Still to come here on DD India Live. Texas flash floods claim over 90 lives, dozens still missing as search operations expand. A memorial service marks the 20th anniversary of the 7/7 bombing in London.
I love the atmosphere of the yatra. So many people come from each part of India, and it's like everybody, we're in the same community. No difference between people, and it's wonderful. We go all together for the same goal, to see the cave, to feel the atmosphere of the cave.
You're watching DD India Live. I'm Mark Lynn. After 21 months of conflict, there is growing hope for a new ceasefire in Gaza, as US President Donald Trump and the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu are set to meet at the White House on Monday. This is the Israeli Prime Minister's third visit since Trump returned to power in January. A US-backed ceasefire proposal would pause the war, free Israeli hostages, and send much-needed aid flooding into Gaza. It also aims to open broader talks about ending the conflict. Now, the hope for a ceasefire between Israel and Gaza is riding high, as Trump said that there was a good chance of a hostage deal ahead of Netanyahu's meet. Let's listen to what he said.
I think we're close to a deal on Gaza. We could have it this week. I think there's a good chance we have a deal with Hamas during the coming week, pertaining to quite a few of the hostages. Yeah. You know, we've gotten a lot of the hostages out, but pertaining to the remaining hostages, quite a few of them will be coming out. We think we'll have that done this week.
Well, we are keeping an eye on that story. And Prime Minister Netanyahu said that Israeli negotiators, they've been given clear instructions to achieve a ceasefire under conditions that Israel has accepted.
This is an opportunity to expand the circle of peace far beyond what we could have imagined before. We've already transformed the face of Middle East beyond recognition, and we have the opportunity and ability to change it even more and bring a great future to the state of Israel, the people of Israel, and the entire Middle East. We are working to achieve the deal that has been discussed under the conditions we have agreed to. I've sent a team to negotiate with clear instructions. I believe the conversation with President Trump can definitely help advance this outcome.
Meanwhile, Israel and Hamas are set to hold indirect talks in Qatar for a second day on Monday, aimed at securing a ceasefire and hostage deal in Gaza. The US envoy Thomas Barak met with Lebanon's President Joseph Aoun at the presidential palace in Beirut. The US envoy Barak, he said that he was satisfied with the Lebanese government's response to a proposal to disarm the militant Hezbollah group. And he also said that Washington is ready to help the small crisis-hit nation emerge from its long-running political and economic crisis.
What the government gave us was something spectacular. In a very short period of time, in a very complicated manner, I'm unbelievably satisfied with the response. Now what it takes is a parry and thrust to the details, which we're going to do. We're both committed to get to the details and get a resolution. So I'm hopeful. I'm very, very hopeful.
The EU spokesperson Olaf Gill has said on Monday that the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and the US President Donald Trump had a good exchange on Sunday, adding that the EU's aim remained to reach a trade deal with Washington by July 9. The Trump administration has said letters would go out notifying trading partners without a deal by July 9 of higher tariffs that would take effect on August 1.
We want to reach a deal with the US. We want to avoid tariffs. We believe they cause pain. We want to achieve win-win outcomes, not lose-lose outcomes. Progress has been made towards an agreement in principle. We consulted with our member states on Friday. Our president talked to the American president yesterday. And we are working hard, all parts of the machine, towards getting something over the line by the 9th of July.
Ursula von der Leyen is to face a European Parliament no-confidence vote. This is going to happen on Thursday. This is the latest challenge to the European Commission President, and it would be the first time since 2014 that the head of the Commission has faced such a move. However, this vote is mainly symbolic, and she's expected to get through the vote quite easily. A state of emergency has been declared in Texas as the deadly flash floods leave a trail of devastation and heartbreak. Dozens are still missing. Entire communities are underwater. Rescuers are working round the clock in a desperate race against time to save lives. Here's the report.
Rescuers are racing against time to locate dozens still missing, including children, after deadly flash floods swept through parts of Texas. The catastrophe has already claimed more than 80 lives. Authorities have warned of more heavy rains on the way.
There are dangers over the next 24 to 48 hours that could pose public safety threats to people in these regions. There is heavy rainfall that's already occurred, and there's more heavy rainfall that's expected that will lead to potential flash flooding broadly in these regions: the Big Country, Concho Valley, Central Texas, and once again, Kerrville.
Evacuations are in full swing. From military veterans to local volunteers, hundreds have joined hands in a desperate search for survivors, braving dangerous waters and debris-strewn streets.
It's gut-wrenching watching all of this happen. I mean, it happened so fast, and I wanted to come out sooner, but I also didn't want to be in the way of waiting for things to get done.
US President Donald Trump, meanwhile, announced he may visit the devastated region on Friday. The White House says his administration is in constant touch with Texas Governor Greg Abbott.
They did. I'll tell you, if you look at that what a situation that all is, and that was really the Biden setup. That was not our setup, but I wouldn't blame Biden for it either. I would just say this is a 100-year catastrophe, and it's just so horrible to watch. Probably on Friday. We wanted to leave a little time. I would have done it today, but we'd just be in their way. Probably Friday.
In the face of nature's fury, Texas is showing the true strength of its spirited communities coming together, rescuers defying all odds, and a state of refusing to give up hope. As the search continues and more rains threatens, the fight to save lives goes on. Bureau Report, DD India.
From storms to volcanic eruption, natural disasters have brought life to a standstill across Asia, leading to evacuations and closure of business. Here's the report.
Natural disasters have been taking a toll across Asia as climate change makes the weather more and more unpredictable. Typhoon Dennis lashed southern Taiwan with heavy rains and strong winds in a rare hit to the island's densely populated west coast. Over 3,000 people have been evacuated due to the typhoon, which has triggered at least 10 landslides. The storm has also forced closure of businesses and schools. Buildings, including a temple, have been damaged. Taiwan is frequently struck by typhoons, but they generally land along the mountainous and sparsely populated east coast. Eastern China has also been on high alert due to the typhoon, with Coast Guard officers assisting fishermen in evacuation plans. Dozens of residents have evacuated remote islands in southern Japan that have been shaken by nearly 1,600 quakes in recent weeks. While no significant damage has been reported on the hardest hit Akoseki Island, the almost non-stop tremors since June 21st have created panic among locals. Experts believe an underwater volcano and flows of magma might be the cause. They have been unable to predict how long the tremors will continue. Situated on the Pacific Ring of Fire, Japan is one of the world's most earthquake-prone nations. In Indonesia, a volcano erupted just weeks after it caused dozens of flight cancellations to and from the popular resort island of Bali.
We all panicked because the eruption has been going on since earlier. It's really made us panic. And in my opinion, this is the biggest eruption so far.
Local officials have warned of hazardous debris flow from the volcano into nearby residential areas, which are also close to rivers. Indonesia has more than 120 active volcanoes. Bureau Report, DD India.
The British Prime Minister Keir Starmer and the Duke and Duchess of Edinburgh, they arrived at St. Paul's Cathedral for a national service of commemoration on the 20th anniversary of London's July 7 bombings. On July 7 and 2005, in fact, suicide bombers blew themselves up on the transport system in London on a busy morning commute. 52 people were killed, as well as the 4 bombers during the attacks on 3 underground trains and 1 bus. Let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Protesters gathered in Nairobi on Monday despite a heavy police presence and roadblocks in the city centre there, defying a security clampdown aimed at halting anti-government demonstrations. Police responded with tear gas and water cannons to disperse the crowds. The protests coincided with the anniversary of the 1990 Sabha Sabha rally, a pivotal event that helped usher in multi-party democracy in Kenya. Hundreds of people gathered outside the home of Gyanendra Shah, who is Nepal's last king, to mark his 70th birthday in Kathmandu. Shah was deposed in 2008 at the end of a decade-long civil war, bringing an end to his reign as the last king of Nepal. Crowds gathered for the first bull run during the iconic San Fermin festival in Pamplona. Thousands of people attended the week-long festival and its famous bull runs, in which 6 bulls are released every year to run for their corral, from their corral to the bull ring through the narrow streets of the old town, and runners are running ahead of them. In fact, they're trying them to stay close to the bulls without falling over or even being butted or gored by the bulls. Back home, the Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnav, during his visit to Patna, announced major railway developments for Bihar. So 4 new trains, the Amrit Bharat trains, will be launched, including a daily Patna-Delhi service. Weekly trains will be from Darbhanga to Lucknow, Malda to Lucknow, and Saharsa to Amritsar.
दिल्ली और पटना के बीच में कनेक्टिविटी सिग्निफिकेंटली इम्प्रूव होनी चाहिए, बहुत बढ़नी चाहिए। तो ये डेली रहेगी और खूब जल्दी इसका इनॉग्रेशन किया जाएगा। साथ ही साथ दरभंगा से लखनऊ ये वीकली अमृत भारत एक्सप्रेस का फैसला लिया गया है, और मालदा से लखनऊ वो भी एक फैसला लिया गया है, और एक फैसला लिया गया है सहरसा से अमृतसर।
The second edition of the Northeastern Region District SDG Index for 2023-24 was released by Niti Aayog in New Delhi on Monday in collaboration with the Ministry of Development of the Northeastern Region and with technical support from UNDP. This pioneering regional framework It assesses the district level progress of all 8 northeastern states in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. The latest index shows significant improvement. 85% of the districts now fall in the front-runner category compared to 62% in the previous edition. The district of Natyal in Mizoram has topped the chart, and Longding in Arunachal Pradesh is the lowest. But the index, what does it do? It highlights considerable gains in key sectors such as clean cooking fuel, sanitation, housing and health services, critical for narrowing the development gap with the national average.
It's highly heartening that about 85% of the districts are in the front runner category. It was just about 60% last time. Number of districts have changed, so I'm using percentages. 85% of the districts are in the front runner category, which means they are very, very likely to meet the SDG goals as scheduled or earlier. I think that's very, very important. And some states have done remarkably well. 3 states have all their districts in the front runner category. You have Mizoram, you have Sikkim and Tripura. So I think Northeast is an extremely important part of India. You know, the country, the nation has an Act East, Look East policy, and they are very, very critical. But I think there's a Desh badal raha hai, Northeast bhi badal raha hai. You know?
For the Delhi Premier League, the DDCA Joint Secretary Amit Grover, he said that the DPL is proving to be an excellent platform for young cricketers. Players who have participated in this league are now making their names in the IPL as well. Narayan Singh spoke to him.
Cricket in Delhi is growing by leaps and bounds, and right now I am joined by Amit Grover ji, the Joint Secretary of the DDCA. Sir, a very warm welcome. The way things are happening in Delhi cricket, we saw auction for both men and women, and many marquee players were there. So how you look that Delhi is given multiple champions to the Indian cricket, especially in IPL we saw many talented cricketers given by the Delhi Premier League.
Yes. So DPL season 1 was a huge success for us. As you know, Priyansh Arya was a huge success. He had hit 6 sixes in DPL, and he got picked up by Punjab for about 3.5 crores. And you know, he performed really well in IPL. There were other boys also, like Digvesh Rathi, Prince Yadav, Simarjeet Singh. So all these kids have been groomed. You know, what we are trying to do here is to ensure that, you know, we can nurture talent, and the talent actually from the league level, now they have a showcase to perform in the DPL side, and this is where, you know, we made it as a complete game changer, and all thanks to our young energetic president, Mr. Jaitley, whose brainchild it was to actually ensure that, you know, the talent in Delhi has a platform to work and you know, to perform and to showcase their talent.
So how you look that it's a big push to the women's cricket too?
Absolutely, absolutely. The whole push has been to ensure that the women side also have a similar platform as the men's side. Now we have 4 teams currently in DPL 2, and what we were able to do was to have a T20 league tournament. You know, there were incentives given to the clubs for them to have teams in the league to, you know, showcase the women's. And you know, we had about 200 girls who were coming up for the auction now. There are 4 teams. So the idea is now to make sure that, you know, it comes at par with men, and hopefully, you know, in the next couple of seasons we are able to bring in more teams to equate them to 8 teams that we already have for the men's side. We have 4. We want to have more so that, you know, it comes at parity. So that's the whole idea.
So here the DDC is trying to bring the women's cricket in parity with the men's cricket, and in the coming season we will see that both men's and women's league will have the same number of teams and same prize money. So it's going to be a wonderful league. Already is creating a buzz in the world of cricket. The camera person Anil, Narayan Singh, DD India, Delhi.
Well, that's what we have in this edition of DD India Live. Let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those of you on the go, get the latest news and updates from DD India and on the DD India mobile app. It's available on iOS and Android as well. Scan the QR code and download it. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Mark Lynn from all of us here in Delhi. Thank you very much for watching DD India Live. Namaskar.